Coming to you live from the Drew Estate and Gurkha Cigar Studios in the great state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Spare Notes series with your hosts, Matt Tobacco, Pat Chamberlain, and William Cooper.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday night once again, and it's time for the Spare Notes series. We are back. I'm Matt Tobacco from SmokingTobacco.com, and I'm with my co-host, Mr. Patrick Chamberlain, also of SmokingTobacco.com, and from Cigar-Coop.com in beautiful Indian Trail, North Carolina. It is William Cooper, the man, the myth, the legend. First of all, time out. It was William's birthday the other day. Happy birthday, William. We love you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And you're aging gracefully like a nice vintage bottle of wine. Can't say enough about you. I mean, look at that face, dude. It's looking good, dude.
Yeah, look at that complexion.
I know,
You have
dude.
makeup on?
Did Lisa do your makeup for the show? I mean, you're looking good.
It's new lighting, right?
It's the new lighting. Coop, you're a riot, man. But no, it's time. It's Spare Notes. So Coop's birthday was a few days ago, December 5th, and then my birthday is next Wednesday, which you won't be with me now. You were maybe going to be with me, but now you won't be with me because we're doing a show that night. But that's okay.
I heard you got some good hands coming. I know you got someone coming in, but he's a little. He may have a life event going on, but otherwise.
Yeah, he did give me that contingency, and I have to follow up with another one of your team members as the backup plan.
He's waiting for you. Yeah.
I had a very busy day, and I saw his message come in, and I have to message. I will. Okay. I'm not ignoring him, just so everybody over there knows. So Wednesday night on the regular show, Pat and I will be back together. Coop was maybe going to be on, but he won't make it. But it's going to be a media roundtable. So from Cigar Coop, as of now, it is Bear Duplessis, who will be representing the Coop team / LO's Hufumar. From How About That Cigar, Matt Ty will be with us, and from halfwheel.com, Charlie Minato will be with us. So it'll be an interesting night. We'll be talking industry stuff. We'll be talking, kind of thoughts for end of the year, cigar of the year stuff, things we saw during the year that maybe we liked, we thought was odd, just kind of general, discussion on several things that, it's a long year and things, we'll talk about the trade show being earlier, how we thought that kind of affected the entire year. Coop, you and I have talked about this kind of topic, as we've gone along. But we'll get to the end of the year and then we'll look back and say, hey, how did the whole year change now because of this event? Which I think there was some significant changes. As, you would probably agree. So just a lot of stuff like that. A lot of different topics and maybe some ideas for 2025. So kind of getting all the different media people together. I mean, not everybody. I can't really get everybody, but some of the popular figureheads that I think people know and love, and figured to get them all together and just kind of pick everyone's brain from different perspectives. And so that's kind of our plan for Wednesday.
Yep.
So
Nice.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, Coop, since you're the birthday boy, first of all, I hope you're smoking something good. But I'm going to let you go first. Why don't you share with us what you're smoking tonight?
Oh, this is just one of my favorite Opus X's. This is the Opus X Oro Oscuro. This is the Reserve. This is the Chateau. The
Churchill.
Reserve.
Yeah.
Yep, the Churchill.
Yeah, it's a great
this
cigar.
has got about 4 years of age on it. Yep.
I think I have half a box of those left still.
These are
fantastic.
I just said I'm holding this for tonight. Yep.
Very, very cool. Patrick, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but you're smoking something kind of cool tonight too. I'll let you kind of dive in on that. But I know people will probably be interested to hear what you have, kind of in the.
Yeah.
You're halfway through it already.
Yeah, I started it like an hour ago, hour and a half ago now probably. So I have the Padron 60th Maduro. They shipped formally, I want to say like a month and a half ago, maybe closer to 2 months ago now. But they've been difficult to get, and so I finally was able to get one, and it is very good. It's like a more similar to the 26 series, full bodied. It's honestly it's like a more robust 80th, so it has like that really. It's really spice forward. Honestly, if you took the 80th Maduro and combined it with the Padron Black, that's the 60 to me.
Okay. Okay. And Coop, I haven't smoked it yet. I have one here to smoke. And Coop, you have some, but you haven't smoked them yet. So
Yep. No.
so far, so Pat, we're gonna have to just take your word for it for now.
Yep. Yep.
Which
Yeah, they had to get some of them out in September because they wanted to time it with the actual anniversary of the company, which I believe was in early September. So they did like a really small run of some of those. So most people didn't get them. Now this is the first time I think there's a larger allocation going out.
Yep. I know at Twins we got 2 shipments of it, kind of a light shipment early, and then now we got a bigger one. So.
Yep.
And I am smoking to start off an Ashton VSG Robusto, which I haven't had in forever. And so I had Pat grab me some from the store.
I gave you the itch for it last week.
You did.
Or last
you did.
2 weeks ago on the show. So that's what I was doing the torpedo.
Yeah, and you know, I have to say, I back in the day, I would smoke a good amount of these. I always really enjoyed this blend, and then you know, as things go, you know, you get wrapped up with different stuff, and I just been smoking so many different things, and you know, especially the last couple of years, I'm always trying to smoke the newest things so I can talk about it and all this. And then Pat was smoking some, and I was like, damn, I need more of those, and I haven't had one in forever. And I have to say, it's been kind of like a treat for me because I'm like, it's bringing me back to like 5 years ago when I first started smoking them, and I'm like, oh man, it just takes you back. I'm like, these are good.
You know, our good friend Jose Blanco loves that blend in the box press. That's one of his favorite ones.
I do too. This is a box press. Wait, was
Yep.
this the Robusto? Yeah, no, yeah. This was the box press. My favorite size is the Spellbound.
Yeah.
The big one.
Yeah.
I love that size.
Yeah, they're all box press other than the Wizard, which is their 6x60.
But there's one size that Jose likes in the box press, and I can't think of which one it is, though.
There's one, it's like the Tres Mesquite, I think. It's like the
I
Petit
think that's it.
Corona.
Yeah. No, it's bigger than that. It's the one he likes is bigger than that.
It could be the one you're. It's read the. It's not the Spellbound. What is the one that?
Oh, this one.
The Sorcerer, maybe. They're all. The
Sorcerer.
Top that might be it.
The
yeah,
Sorcerer.
that looks like a
this
Jose
one.
Blanco.
You know, Matthew.
It's like a thin Churchill.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
That's
It's
it.
this
then.
one. Yeah, and then we got the Torpedo. Here.
Yeah, that one's just called Torpedo for some reason.
Yeah, it's just Torpedo. Yeah, the Sorcerer is good. The Spellbound is my favorite.
Yeah.
And this Robusto is not bad.
Really good, Matthew. Yeah.
Oh, you know, Matthew, that's a great blend. You know, Carlito blended that cigar back in the day. You know, I use this good tobacco. It's a good blend. I like that a lot.
Jose really got me turned on to that line again. I'd kind of gotten away from it for a while, and when I was driving him in Tampa earlier this year, I managed to squirrel a couple of all those off of him. So, which wasn't easy, you know that.
Oh, I know how it goes. Yeah. He squirrels cigars off of me, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's Pete Johnson.
Yeah, I give him a touch of wine. He's like, "Oh, I'll take the touch of wine." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure you will."
Yeah, Pete was like thanking him for like, thank you for giving my cigar to Jose. Like,
He did. He saw me. He was like, "Hey," he's like, "By the way, thanks for giving Jose Blanco some Tatuaje." I was like, "Yeah, you got it." I'm like, "I didn't have a choice, but yeah, you got it."
Of course you didn't have a choice.
But I was like, Pete, I wanted those for myself, and he was like, "I know."
Yeah.
But no, it's all good. Anytime Jose asks me for anything, I would give it to him without even thinking about it. Jose is the master, and he's done a lot for me. He's been a great friend many years. We joke.
Absolutely, we joke
he's a
about
great
him.
friend.
But yeah, he's great. Yeah, absolutely.
We love Jose. Yeah, absolutely. Coop's his personal driver from time to time. So
I've driven him in 3 different cities. I've driven him in Charlotte, Vegas, and Tampa.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
He actually got me to go to Tampa to be his driver for the weekend earlier this year.
I came up with this idea, and I don't think I actually ever shared it with anybody because I get these ideas all the time, and sometimes I forget about them, and then they come back. But I thought about this, after listening to your stories. Sorry, I know it's too early for this. Excuse me. After listening to your stories about your experiences with Jose, the few that I've had, and then obviously other people's, listening to Arnold talk about Jose and vice versa.
Those two.
I started, I got this idea, and I started thinking about, I'm like, wouldn't it be interesting if there was going to be kind of like a reality show based on someone who is in the cigar business? There's a lot of great people. I mean, there's a lot of great people. But I started thinking about, I'm like, I honestly think the most entertaining, not just the most like, oh, like that's interesting, like, what is George Padron's life like? Or no, I think the most entertaining would be if a camera crew followed around Jose Blanco in his everyday life, because
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like there would be a lot of good information. You'd probably learn a lot about tobacco, cigars, but there would also be a lot of just non-cigar related, like just stuff, like just watching Jose do his thing in life. And I love Jose, but that's the thing. Jose is a guy who, he gets out there and he lives his life. And I just feel like watching like him drive around in the car with you for 4 hours and the discussions and the things that that would be awesome. That would be hilarious. It would be entertaining. Yeah. I'd love to see that. Someone has to make this happen.
We joked about it actually.
Miguel's here with us.
Driving Mr. Blanco, driving the professor. And there's a group of us in the States who are like appointed drivers of Jose. Big Vic up in New Jersey. There's Renee down in Miami, and Arnold Arnold also is. Arnold's kind of unofficial. I still had to go to Tampa, but so there's kind of a small group of, and I think I'm leaving one other person out, and I apologize. And I know Big Vic, who lives in New Jersey, has stories galore about Jose. I mean, I know Vic because Jose lived in New Jersey for a few years, and Vic drove him every day. Vic was his rep and drove him every day for a couple of years. So I know Vic's probably got the best stories, but they're definitely out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this needs to happen. So like someone, what you should do? You gotta tell like Carlito and Chiro, like, listen, you guys know a lot of people. You have the means. Take this in and marinate on it for like a little while. You got to get the professor on his own TV show. I'm telling you, I think it would be a hit. And
yeah, I think it would too.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, I think it would be awesome. I would watch that show every week.
Following the professor.
On this episode, the professor is traveling with several hundred pounds worth of luggage and needs to get from Miami to Tampa and back.
I will never forget. I had to get his luggage out in Vegas, and I couldn't believe. I will never ever make fun of a woman traveling with heavy loads of luggage again after him. He had these 3 bags. I don't know how he does it. I mean, these were heavy bags. They're big bags.
Yeah, it's.
And one of them was filled with cigars, by the way. So I'm just.
Well, only one.
Only one, yeah. Well, Jose's a nice dresser. He doesn't carry t-shirts and shorts. He's got. He's not
a bum. Yeah. No, he's not a bum.
No, he's not. He's got suits in there, so they take up a lot of room. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
He's got class. I mean, that's the thing. He's got class. I mean, he
does. He's a great.
That's the other thing that makes it so funny is he's a very intelligent, smart guy. He's got a lot of class. He dresses well. Yep. He's very polished, intelligent. But then there's another side of him where it's like. Everything he does is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and the banter with him and Carlito, it is funny. I mean, if I do miss their show they did on Sundays because they had some really great banter. And it's real. I've been with them in the Dominican Republic, seeing the banter live in person. So it's real banter, and of course in Tampa, it's real banter is what I'll say. So it's all in good fun, but it's all real too.
Jay Davis, all I know is Jose thinks me and Matt Tobacco are fat. I've lost weight. So, Jay, as much as I love you, and I'm on your side, I haven't seen you I haven't seen you since March. So, what is that, 9 months? So, I don't know how you've been doing. I think you look great, regardless. I always think you look great. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you've slimmed down a lot. At least I slimmed down, and I said to Jose, I go, come on. I lost 40 pounds. And he's like, could have fooled me. I'm like, what?
What? You guys need to start considering salads.
He actually did say that. I'm pretty
I
sure.
know he did.
Yeah, he
I
did
know
say
he
that. I don't know. Do you know that story? It happened at the trade show.
Why
Where
you told me about it? Yeah.
yeah. He comes around the corner. I was like, Jose, how are you? Oh, you look like you're putting on some pounds. I was like, fuck you. And then he was like, hey, do you have a... And I'm where the airport, the baggage claim. He's like, do you have any cigars I could have? I don't have any cigars on me. And I'm like, yeah, let me open my suitcase. I mean, it's Jose. I'm like, I'm going to do it. But I'm like, you got me fat.
No,
Like,
he's got a bag. No, he's got
He's
cigars.
got a
They're in that bag. They're in that bag on the luggage. And you know how long the luggage takes.
Oh, I know.
Vegas.
Well, he was still waiting for the third bag to come around the thing. He's like, oh, I need a cigar. Waiting for this thing.
He offloaded a whole bunch of cigars with me once because he didn't have he was going to Sweden and I think they were going to tax him on it, so he had to offload like all these boxes. I thought he was giving me the boxes. He's like, no, I need you to send me these next time I'm in the States. I said I can't have any. He's like, no.
Wow. Rental fee, come on. You know, when you go park your car at the airport long term, you're gonna pay for that. You don't just it's not free.
Look, Jose made it up with some very good dinners, so I'm not gonna complain. Yeah, he did.
All right, at least he did that. He did.
He
That's fair.
He did. Yeah, he did. He's good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I got my Jose impression out tonight. I teased this on Wednesday. Pat's got a little soccer impression, but again, no pressure to bring it out. But he's definitely been working on it. I've heard it a few times.
It's gonna come out when you least expect it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not it's not so much like it's not so much the voice. He's got it. It's pretty good. It's the things that Sokka says, like off the cuff, that he's got down. He's got it down. Like it's exactly what he would say.
There's days that he because I mean his office is right down the street from Twins.
Yeah.
So he comes in fairly often, and I just hear him talking to customers, and he'll talk to me, and you just hear it, and you're like you just kind of develop that Sokka mentality, and it's always about the unicorn too. Like it's always like people go up to him like, Sokka, this unicorn's awesome. Like how did you think about this? And well, I didn't really think about it. It was, I just woke up one day and was like, I have all this fucking tobacco, right? And I'm like, how can I just make a fucking expensive cigar that no one's gonna buy? I made maybe 10 of them for myself, and I'm like, no one's gonna buy this fucking thing. I hand selected myself over 20,000 bales of tobacco to make these 10 cigars, and they're fucking awesome, but no one's gonna fucking buy this piece of shit. So then I was like, no one's gonna buy it, so I'm just gonna make like a little bit, like 10,000 of them, sit on them a little bit, and then just, I gave them out in an event, and everyone's smoking them now. I don't know why. But there's people are buying them, and I'm like, fuck it, it's money. I have a debit card, I buy shit. My wife doesn't tell me not to because I have enough money. If I didn't have money, she'd say I can't buy it. So that's what the unicorn is. It's the cigar mold.
That's good. This is good.
You know what? The only thing you miss from that is Steve would say, well, when I was down in Nika, I was working on some ligas. I had all this different tobacco. And the thing is, people always say there's only so much tobacco. There's an infinite supply. And the problem is working on these blends gets really complicated. Okay? And I work these cigars and I think they're okay. And people always say, Sokka, you make the best cigars. And I don't really see it. I think they're okay. And people buy them. We keep the lights on. But I don't think I ever really love them. I'm never really satisfied. I'm always like trying to rework them and get them. But, whatever. I'll put it out there and people will buy it. Or they won't. Whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I have a couple of different ligas I'm working on right now.
Yeah. I love it. That's
you had on Tim Osgener on Wednesday, right? I haven't seen the show yet, but Tim Osgener does the best. I mean, he really has a lot of people nailed down in the cigar.
Dude, he does. We saw that.
He is good.
I was like, whoa, shit. I didn't know he did impressions.
Bear every year at the show throws random ones at him. And last year he did Ernesto Perez Carrillo, who I never saw anyone do an Ernesto Perez Carrillo imitation. He had Ernesto nailed down 100%. It was. He's known for his Rocky imitation. The Ernesto one is like 10 times better, is what I'll just say.
We'll have to get on that next time he's on, or we
Yeah,
see him.
yeah,
we
yeah.
have to do him.
Yeah. I tagged Steve. I'm like, you missed out on your impressions. Well, there's also a reason why we did that, too. Also, Chuck asked, what is Coop smoking? I think he tuned in a little bit late. He's smoking Coop. Go ahead.
The Oro Oscuro, the Opus X Oro Oscuro in the Chateau Reserve Churchill size. This is just 4 years old. This is great. I just love this blend.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one.
It's got the perfect age on it right now too.
Yeah. Those, I have half a box left in there that's a couple years old probably. Yeah, smoking really well. What was I gonna say?
Saka.
Oh yeah, so Saka. So one of the things I want to bring this up. We won't dig too deep into it, Have to leave a little bit of a mystique. But so for 2025, we have partnered with Dunbarton Tobacco Trust, and we're going to be doing a monthly contest every month in 2025. So there's going to be 12 chances. And each month, there will be a box of Dunbarton Tobacco Trust and a DTT mug, the coffee mugs that everyone loves. So there's going to be a box and a mug up for grabs every month. And it'll change. It's not always going to be the same thing. They'll all rotate. There'll be a variety of them. And every month, from I think what the teams discussed, it's going to be kind of a different contest every month. So, 1 month it might be, a photo contest. The next month it might be a comment contest, and you're gonna know about it. We're gonna tell you what the contest is at the beginning of the month. You'll have all month to participate, and then at the end of the month, one of the winners gets picked, and then you'll get your winnings, and then we move on to the next one. So for the first one for January, it'll end the end of January, but we're gonna tell you now, so you have a little bit of a head start, and we're gonna get this going. Is we have decided that the first contest is going to be the Roast of Steve. And this contest in whole will be called Saka Roulette. That's what the entire thing is going to be called. And the first contest is the Roast of Steve. Now, Steve, pretty sure he does know about this because he saw a post that I made teasing this concept. And he made a comment like, no deed goes unpunished. So, it's Steve. So, we'll see how he handles it. But I'm sure at the end of the day, Steve's a good sport, and he'll get into it. So basically, you can submit your best jokes, roasts, whatever you want to call them, at Steve's expense. And the best one will be chosen. I think that's what we pretty much said we were going to do.
I was in Nika about 6 months ago, and, finally, these other guys have had kind of a decline this year, post-pandemic, but, DTT's been skyrocketing. Now, granted, our growth isn't cumulatively the same as other companies because we're still kind of a small company, so the numbers are going to be a little bit different, but they're growing drastically. The trade show, we were so busy. I had my couch I sent over there. I was sitting on it. I'm talking to all these people. Everyone's buying my stuff. Some of it's not the best, but they're buying it. But my new stuff, I'll tell you, my markets are amazing right now. It's, and I'm like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I have all this product now. Production's catching up. All the stores are getting all their pre-orders and back orders sent to them. I'm like, well, I'm just going to throw some product out. Fuck it. Matt Tobacco. I might as well throw some stuff over that way. And I have these coffee mugs. I meticulously had 20 different samples and 5 different colors made. And I'm like, this is a pretty nice coffee mug. All those DTT fanboys are going to be all over this. So I might as well, do a contest. I get a coffee mug and some cigars every month. And, just do some DTT free advertisement minus the cigar expenses. Why not?
Wow.
The grand prize is going to be my couch.
I think Google is so sorry.
I hope you guys have much better luck at people claiming prizes than Cigar Coop. When I tell you we couldn't get someone to claim a prize for a $1,000 quality importer's humidor, right? We had problems getting a contest recently claimed as well with something with Drew Estate. I am telling you, I hope you guys getting the contest is the easy part. People don't claim their prizes. We reach out to them. We try multiple times. I hope you guys have better luck than that because it drives me. $1,000 humidor I couldn't give away. $1,000, and we had 200 entries, and every time I drew an entry, no one, I couldn't get a response. So.
I feel like it's because people do the entries and they're just like, oh, I'm not gonna win, but fuck it.
And look, sometimes we get things happen with email. We put it out on social media. We put it out. We do a video so everyone can see the transparency, how it's drawn. I absolutely have lost my mind with it right now. And it is frustrating. And I know sometimes things happen and everything. And we've had a couple cases where someone, thing has happened and we're flexible on it. But I've had to redraw so many prizes in the last year. It's ridiculous. I think actually getting the people to claim the prizes has been the toughest thing for me. That was my beef of the week, by the way. That was a good beef of the week.
I like that.
Collecting prizes.
I like that.
$1,000 humidor I couldn't get someone to claim. One of those big upright quality imports.
Yeah. I got a couple of them. Yeah, they're nice. They're nice, and they fail quickly. They're nice. Dan Newman, I will be glad to help with unclaimed prizes. I mean, I'm glad there's somebody out there.
Enter the contest. We have another contest coming pretty soon. So enter our contest. I love giving stuff away.
So I will say, if you want to enter into this contest, the best way to do it is to go to smokeandtobacco.com and go to our contact us page, and you can submit a like an inquiry or whatever on our contact us. It'll come to me. Put your name, your email, all your information. All your information is in there, so I know how to get to you. And you can put whatever you want. If you want to give us a couple, that's fair. I mean, I guess that's fine. Some people might have a couple, but if you got one, but whatever it is, submit. Everyone just submit all your entries. We'll go through every single one. We'll figure out what the best thing was, and I guess I'll run it by Steve to make sure it's not too much.
No, I think we pick the top 5 and then send the top 5 to Steve, and he picks the best one.
Actually, I like that idea too. Be like, all right, Steve, these were the best. These were the best. But Steve will say, well, I'd like to see all of them because these
not that I care about them, but I just want to see them.
Honestly, I'm gonna bring this one up because sometimes I gotta give credit where it's due. This one's kind of interesting, Coop. Alan Rubin commented, you should do a contest where the winner gets all the unclaimed prizes for the year. He's on to something.
It's actually a great idea.
Wow, Alan, that was actually a good idea for once.
I'm going to say
pretty good.
That is a great, and I'm thinking about this for 2025. I think that is a wonderful idea. I think I'm going to do it. You know
why? Because then everyone's going to see this one guy get like 5 things and go, oh, what the hell is that? And it's like, well,
but then the problem is, it is a good idea, but the problem is then I may have people not claiming prizes because they want to win the big one. So
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do like the consolidated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I think what I may do is maybe do it for any. Yeah. I think there's something to that. I actually think there's something to do in that. I mean, I can't believe. I mean, it's tough because sometimes we have to get these fulfilled by the manufacturers and stuff like that, and people don't realize how tough it is to do these contests. So please, people, when you enter a Smoke and Tobacco, enter the contest for these guys, and then make sure you claim your prizes, please.
I mean, we'll give them to you. We have them all. They're right here in the lounge. I got them all. I got all the boxes already.
And the coffee mugs actually
I'll tell you what. Let me go grab the box. You. I'll be right back. We'll showcase. We'll show people this is what we have. We're giving it away. This is your opportunity to be like, oh, I want that. So I'll go get it.
Yeah.
No, the coffee mugs are nice. I have one myself, and it's a good coffee mug. It's like my daily drinker now.
Yeah, I have one of them too. I was gonna give another one away, except I didn't want to do another contest that goes unclaimed. That's it. So
he's got the big box straight from Nika. We have 6. Yeah, we have 6 months worth of.
We only have the first 6 months. Saka said we'll do the first 6 months, and then we'll do. And I think he did it so that way some different stuff that's coming out next year in the second half of the year he'll have that stuff. Yeah. So.
No, it's good.
I don't want to give the new stuff out the first 6 months.
What is that? Mikarita?
Mikarita Blue. The original
No unicorns?
Mikarita.
No unicorns?
Not yet. I think the unicorns may come in the second half.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Moestro de Saka Krakatoa. This is box of Krakatoa.
That's some nice stuff.
The Sobremesa, Solida, Churchill, and Cedros.
Love that one. It's a good one.
That's a great one. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Those are up for grabs. Oh, go ahead. Whatever. Yep.
Or you might as well hand it to me so I feel like I'm included in this.
Oh, look at Pat.
Yeah,
Pat
it's
is, yeah, Pat's, let me tell you, this kid's fucking awesome. All right, let's see. I'll let you do that one.
Cigars.
You didn't say what it was.
It's a joke, you fucking
dickhead.
dipshit. This is Stillwell. Which one is it though?
I think that's the 22.
Oh, this is the aromatic 22. This is the OG holiday blend.
Yes.
That's the
Yep.
best one. That's one of the best ones. Actually, the 20.
It is.
I think the holiday ones are the best. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally like a subtle sugar cookie kind of chocolate toffee flavor, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like other pipe tobacco cigars in the market where it's like really really sweet. You still get a lot of that nice dark tobacco varietals in there, and then you just get a subtle sweetness out of it.
Totally agree. I like that.
Then we got the Umbagog Toro, not just the Toro. It's the Toro.
It's a double Toro.
Double Toro. So I love the Umbagog. I know people look at it as like a bundle, like cheap cigar. I smoke these all the time.
It's a good value.
It's
Not
better.
even the
It's good
value. I just like it.
Yeah,
it's
no, it's a good
weird.
cigar.
Like and he says it's like the broadleaf wrappers that weren't good enough for the Micaritas, but I'm like,
It's
they're
a good
still
cigar.
beautiful wrappers. Yeah, I think these are awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of
it's a good
course,
cigar.
the cigar you just recently reviewed.
Yeah, the Sin Compromiso number 4. Which, typically everyone in the industry blends in the Robusto, but when I did the Sin Compromiso, I just didn't like any of them. So it took me 3 years to finally pin up down a blend that I
is true.
personally liked.
That's true. That's a true story.
That is actually what happened.
Yeah, that's
Which
a
it
true
is.
story.
It is like it's like a fuller bodied Sin Compromiso. I posted a review of it I think a week ago, and it was very. What did I give it? Like a 89 or something?
89, I think.
Which
yeah.
is for me, that's like high 80s is a good score for me. I mean, everyone has a different way of doing it. But
Unfortunately, most of the industry goes the opposite as we talked about. So, yeah, he should have gave it a better score, but
but it is if it's like above an 85 for me, it's worth getting. It's a very good cigar. I scrutinize stuff a lot, but yeah, no, that number 4 was amazing. It's a great cigar.
And then we have 6.
Oh, he has different kinds of mugs.
Oh, yeah, they're all different.
Shit. Well, we might just be giving away 2 of them because I don't have a lot of these yet. I'm just kidding. Oh, wow.
And there's others because I have some in the house that are different than these too.
Oh, so you just
yeah.
completely. You know what we should do? There's a Sin Compromiso mug. We should just be complete assholes and make sure we don't give that away with the Sin Compromiso, just to be dicks.
I like that idea. That's what
Yeah.
Steve would do. He'd be like,
Yeah.
you can't have everything match. You're gonna get one of each.
Because then, if they match, they're not going to buy more to get the other one.
You gotta play again so you can maybe win the match that goes with the mug. I mean, you gotta keep people coming back. So that's what Steve would say. So yeah, we have. Some,
I actually like these. These are like really.
dude, they are nice.
Wow.
Yeah, we have this one which says Dunbarton Tobacco Trust, and it's got a whole tobacco plant on it. There's 2 of those. There's a Sin Compromiso, there's an Umbagog, and then there is 2 of these which are just like the DTT logo.
That's the one that I have, which it has like a kind of a slight. I just burped when I said that. A slight curve in the middle of
It's
it.
gross.
So if you don't use the handle, you can just kind of comfortably kind of cuff it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's
Really
nice.
ergonomical.
Ergonomical.
Yeah. I just was sitting there one day and I just had a bunch of cups and I was just feeling them in my hand and I'm like, oh, this one feels good.
You know what I could see Steve doing too? Like when he was making those cups? How much you want to bet he called several different manufacturers who make coffee mugs and he was like, I want to see every different kind of ceramic and clay that you have and I want samples and he spent 6 months going over just different clay, different ceramics, different, well, how high do you fire him in the kiln? What degree? It's he probably looked into it
I feel like he was in his basement testing them out, and he would just pick one up and he was like, he'd just fucking chuck it and shatter it on the floor.
I could see him doing that, doing a brake test, be like, well, this one, from table height broke the least. I think this is probably the strongest one. We should go with that. I don't want people to break them easily, and then. Or maybe I do, and then I have to give more away, and it kind of keeps people engaged in it. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
And I might do an espresso mug, but all the mugs I have, I don't like. So
I'll tell you. You know who could win this contest is Nick Perdomo.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if you heard the joke, Coop. I told you the joke on a show. Do you remember when I told you I went to the New England Cigar Expo?
Yeah,
and they did
were
the
at
comedy
night
thing.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they had up there. So they had a comedian up there, and then Tony V, and he said, last year we did this, and there was people out there like, I could do that. And so this year we got a couple of people from the industry to come out on stage and tell some jokes.
Oh, it's the roast thing that they do?
Yeah. So Nick Perdomo, Christian and Justo Aroa, Steve, Oliver Nouveau. Was there one more? I can't remember. Was there one more?
You're telling the fucking story, dude.
I can't remember.
Know.
I can't remember. There might have been one more, and I
Talk about
apologize.
old.
Oh wait,
moments.
wait. Was Rock? Did Rocky go up there? Oh yeah, Rocky went up. So everyone did their thing, and they're all pretty good. There was a few that I was like, but like, so Nick Perdomo goes up, and it's Nick Perdomo, So I'm like, I mean, Nick's a great guy, but I was like, how funny is he gonna be? So he told this joke that was like, 3 guys go into the Guinness Book of World Records. First guy goes in there, he's got really small hands. They go, congratulations, you got the smallest hands in the world. He comes out and goes, I did it. I got the smallest hands in the world. Next guy goes in, he's got the smallest feet. They're like, congratulations, you got the smallest feet in the world. He comes out, he got the award. The last guy goes in there and he goes, I got the smallest dick in the world. And he goes in and he comes out and he was empty-handed. And they're like, what happened? And he was like, who the fuck is Steve Saka? And the place lost it. And I was like, I did not see that coming from Nick Perdomo. That was like, holy shit. It was like, it was funny, but then the fact that Nick told that joke, I was like,
right.
I was like, damn. That was good. And I think Chuck, if he's still watching, I'm pretty sure Chuck was at that event. I'm pretty sure he remembered that, so he can vouch on that one. That was pretty good. Mike, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. And so to give you an example, you get something like that, like Nick's joke, submit it to us.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll win.
You might win some free stuff.
Although that joke is ineligible because it's already been told, so you can't steal that joke. But come up with your own. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, Chuck Nick wins it. Yeah, I know. So now you know about our DTT contest. You guys are eligible. You can send them. You can start now. I know that it's going to be more of a January. But we're gonna start it now. We'll give you guys a head start. If you guys want to start thinking about it, if you guys got any jokes, head to smokeatobacco.com. Head to the contact us page, and submit your jokes to us. And I would say you could email us, but I don't want to like have things get lost in the junk folder all the time and stuff like that. There's no junk folder on the online submission thing. So go in there.
Could they could they comment on the soccer reviews too? I think all the information is there as well.
Meaning on the website, on the comments thing?
You can comment on one of the soccer reviews.
I'll allow it. Yeah.
There you go. Multiple avenues now.
Yeah, go read the Saka reviews, and when you get down to the bottom, you can leave a little comment on the review and be like, well, Steve Saka. And it'll be eligible. I'll add it in. So there you go. Feel free to do that. Start thinking of your best jokes about Steve. Keep sending them. Just keep sending them. It's not like one per person. Only one person's going to win, but just keep sending them.
So, that blossoms an interesting topic we can talk about that just kind of clicked in my head.
What do you got?
About cigar events.
What do you got?
So when I started in the industry about 5 years ago, I feel like the big event was always like a cut and light thing, like buy 3, get 1, buy a box, get 10 or 5, whatever. And I've noticed that a lot of, and then we can even, like with Tim Ozinger on Wednesday, having that cigar tasting with the Fumas.
Oh, yeah.
So I've noticed a lot of
Puritos.
Events have been changing to more of a experience-based event instead of like kind of a buy 5, get 1.
The Coop, I think you call it the tablecloth event.
The tablecloth event, yes.
Yeah.
So I found a lot more of that's happening. So what is your opinions on events? Like, do you like you go in and you just kind of get free stuff if you buy the brand, or do you like to get into more of like a experience-based thing that might be like a ticket to entry, and then it's more of a tasting event or like a conversational event?
I think that the second option is better because it's more engaging. I think you get to spend some time with the brand owners or whoever's there. But usually at an event like that, it would usually be the brand owner. For example, when you talk about Tim's event, right? I mean, that's a pretty awesome event. You get to go do the whole tasting thing. You get to be there with him. You get to ask questions. It's very engaging. You sit down. You're connected with the brand and the people and the cigars, and like we were on the show the other night. We were really I said to you after the show, I'm like, dude, there was 30 minutes there where like I just was like looking this way. I didn't even look at you.
I feel like we barely talked. We were just kind of like
because we were both so wrapped up in it.
Yeah, we were just.
You like really get into it. When you walk into the tablecloth event, like that's like, oh yeah, like they got all the boxes. It's like if you buy 2 boxes, you get like the mugs or you get the hats. It's like, I mean, that stuff's cool, but like
I think a lot of consumers care about like, why do I buy at this event? Like, what do I get out of buying? Which I don't think it's a great mentality, but I think a lot of consumers have that kind of thought on it is, if I'm going to buy a box today, why should I buy it today? And why should I buy this brand? Like, am I going to get something free for it? Like, what's the situation? And I like the experience events more, but also like, obviously we're different than your average consumer because we're really into it. So I'm just, it's an interesting kind of, I was thinking about it, like what the better, I think there's room for both, but what the better approach would be. I think I don't know what it was like pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, it was pretty much all tablecloth events, and it was pretty standard. I mean, Coop, we've talked about this a lot. Pre-COVID, the industry was very much the same as it was in the 1990s. I mean, it was very. It wasn't like it's getting to be today.
Yeah.
It was very old school. Tablecloth events. Once in a while, the principal would come in and maybe do a ticketed event, and you get to meet them and take your picture with them, and you buy a box, they'll sign it. But and I feel like you got more events with principals now, meaning like the head guy like a Rocky or Steve and Carlito and people like that coming to the shops now and doing more stuff themselves. They obviously can't always be on the road doing those things because they're also they're blending and making cigars and they're running those businesses. But I feel like you're seeing more of those now. You're seeing, I know what you're saying. You are seeing more involved events
like dinners and
blendings,
pairings.
And to be fair, 20, even 30 years ago, I've spoken to some of the older owners of the companies who, when you could smoke more in more states and, they used to do a lot more dinners. Like, for example, Boston, they used to do, LJ Peretti used to do like, big dinners and stuff, the big smoke, Cigar Aficionados, big smoke. They used to be in New York City, and they used to do all these dinners and like, Cigar Family Charitable Foundation used to do dinners all over the country and, raise money for the charity. And part of the problem is you don't have a lot of those events anymore because you can't have these big dinners and smoke at these like hotels and event places anymore because you can't. So it's kind of driven back more into stores only in the few states where you kind of can do that. Like look at, Dave, he used to do it at DeBureau's in Haverhill there. You rent the whole place out. You could smoke in there. Massachusetts, nonetheless, even a couple of years ago. Now he's doing it on the farm and, it's hard because you have that limited availability. But yeah, I think the industry's still kind of more or less just in the shop wise was kind of old school before COVID still. And I think you're seeing a lot of changes with that. But Coop, what do you got?
Dave and Abe, the Babner are the two best in the business as far as experiential events go. They're
100%. Yep.
I mean, there's those two guys, and I've been around Abe's events more because I'm obviously a little closer to Florida, but I do see Dave's events through when I catch up with Cigar Authority, and the guy's always thinking out of the box. I've checked out his book. That being said, this is my point. I've seen somewhat of an uptick in experiential events. I think a lot of it's had to do with inventories and things like that. But I also think, and this is going to be controversial, most retailers are not equipped to support an experiential event correctly. You have to have, you have to have it's got to be two-way support from both the manufacturer and the retailer. It can't be one or the other. It's got to be done in partnership. That's why, again, when I look at when Dave does it and when Abe does it, it's very, very well structured. I think there's too many events in this industry. I don't think we need that many events at a retail store. One event a month is a lot to ask of your customers, in my opinion, because you want them buying the rest of the month too. So I really think it needs 4 events a year. I think is fine. And if you want to mix tablecloths and have one experiential event, I think that's all you really need. Because I think, like I said, I think a lot of times these events have a higher cost of sales, especially if it's experiential. It's going to have a higher cost of sales, so you're going to have to get a bigger return on the sales. And some people do, like I said, some retailers do very well, some reps do very well. But I've also seen a lot of these things fail miserably. And it's funny, no one has a bad cigar event. You notice that? And I could tell you, I should write a book on the cigar event flops I've seen over the last 15 years. I'll get thrown out of the industry if I wrote this book, because I've seen flop after flop after flop with events. What you just don't hear about because everyone has a great event. They got the tablecloth all organized, right? No one has a bad event. Have you noticed that?
Oh, it's funny because I see a lot of events that I've seen have been successful.
I'm not wrong.
He's not wrong.
But it's funny because you look at it depends on what the brand is you're working with, because again, your average consumer for the tablecloth event, I feel like a lot of it is, what am I getting? What's the value for me buying tonight at this event? And
sure, exactly.
Companies are different. Some do it really well. They spend a lot of money on the events, and some of them just show up and just do buy 5 get 1, and it's just it's not a unique cigar. I'll take Tat for instance. For Halloween they do the pumpkin cigar, and people want that cigar. You can only get it at the Halloween events. So, people buy to get that cigar, right? It's a unique one. It's not like you have someone coming in, buy 5, and then get 1 core line or something of that sort. But then you have, Drew Estate, where you buy a box, and, this year they did, a leather cigar case with a built-in speaker. That was one of the things that they were giving away for a box sale. And then when people go to the Drew Estate events, they always wait for the Drew Estate event to buy at it, because you're going to get some cool swag and maybe an ashtray. They give away humidors and all those fancy things, and it's just funny because it's hard to do an event like that with someone like Drew Estate, who has all the graffiti artwork and those cool humidors, the Deadwood series coffin humidor, and then go to an event with a different company that might not have kind of the swag backed up with it. But then they're still very good cigars. The cigars are great. It's worth buying at, in my opinion. But they don't have those extra kind of toys that they're giving out with the purchases. So it's I found that tablecloth events can be, if you look at it at the whole, weird, because it's different companies have different resources to utilize for a tablecloth event.
I think that's true.
Where the experiential events is solely, in my opinion, on the retailer, because it's how do you utilize the space you have, and what is that unique thing that you're going to do.
Yeah. But if I'm a manufacturer, right, do I want my rep spending 8 hours prepping for an event when he can go sell the same amount of cigars? And that's not to say he can or can't. I look at the investment sometimes that has to put into an experiential event does require a lot of investment. So I think you have to be judicious when you do those types of things. And that's why I always point back to Dave and Abe, because these guys, they have the vision. They know what needs to be done to support those types of things.
Yeah, Chuck had said, I'll be at Abe and Dave's events in 2025. And I follow him on social media, and he's usually always at the Great Smoke, and he's at Dave's anniversary / the expo. So I know he's an example of someone who goes to both of those events. I've been to both of those events multiple times. Yeah. You're right. They're done. They're executed right.
I know the effort Abe puts into the Great Smoke every year. I see it firsthand. So just from talking to him, so it's an enormous amount of work he does.
And then Jay, as a retailer, chimed in with some very interesting comments here. We have lots of bad events. We do maybe 3 events a year, and usually 1 is a dud. The failure of the events is 65% on us, 35% on the manufacturer. Most retailers don't have the space, infrastructure, and money to do an event like Abe or Dave, which is very true. You're talking about some of the biggest retailers in the country.
So
you
I would
have the
ask,
capital and the
out of
resources to
curiosity,
do it.
I would ask Jay what he feels goes wrong when there's a dud. If he wants to share, he doesn't have to. But,
Absolutely.
Because I have my ideas from my perspective with my experience
Yeah.
doing retail, but I'm sure Jay has really good insight on what he feels kind of is a make or break for the events.
Jay's usually
I'll
pretty
tell you,
transparent.
Jay did a good job, but I've been to one of his events, his Tatawahi event. I probably, it might be to disparage it, it probably was a little more on the tablecloth side, even though it wasn't a tablecloth event. But he had Dan Welch there. But what was compelling about this event is Jay had product that, like, I'm telling you, he had rare product there. And if you were a Tatawahi fan, right, you wanted in on this event. I had the Coop team calling me up wanting orders, I remember, with this. So you wanted this stuff. So there was definitely a compelling reason. And Dan Welch is a very personable guy on top of that. He did a very good – Jay gets a very good passing mark for that event I went to. He did a great
It goes
job.
back to the thing that I was saying is you have to, like, it's the companies that have something unique for the tablecloth events is who succeeds. Like, Tad has, like, those rare cigars you can bring out. And, like, even like Saka does a lot of those events on like the online retailers, and you get like there's some prize there, whether it's like some kind of a Saka squash type format or some exclusive cigar that he makes. You know, it's having, I guess it's like it's the manufacturer. Like, what is their vision for the tablecloth events? Like, what are they gonna have that compels people to participate in purchasing at these events?
Yeah. Yeah, there's, like you said, I was hesitant to say Jay's event was a tablecloth event because it wasn't buy 3 get 1 free. It wasn't necessarily they had a formal presentation or interactive thing, but there was some very unique. I mean, it was like I wish I had unlimited funds that night. It was.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jay was ready to go and. It went very, like I said, at the top. But Dan helped that along because he's very interactive with people. So I thought that was good.
So Jay had commented, duds happen when the event isn't properly advertised and there's no value offered to the customer. You need something unique to bring to that event.
That's, like the advertisement is, I mean, I think we might have talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago with just how tough it is to advertise with cigars just because of obviously limitations. But I mean, a lot of it too is social media, and I found that, you know, a lot from just speaking to people, it's a lot of old school people that may be running some businesses, and even like consumers, where if you're utilizing the outlets you have, which is primarily social media, and it's just not done really effective, you know. And that's why I think we talked about, like, that's where like the media, like Coop and, you know, Smoking Tobacco, like that's where they come in, where it's the podcast kind of promoting those events, and it's really like getting a grasp on the way that you can market, which honestly social media is a pretty powerful tool to market, you know. But you know, there's consumers who don't go on it, you know, maybe there's some consumers that only use Facebook, they don't use like Instagram or X or anything of that sort. So it's not just utilizing social media, but utilizing all of the outlets so you can connect to the people that aren't on each outlet.
Right.
You know, another guy who's really good at events, and I should put him up there with Abe and Dave, is Craig Cass. He owns the Tinderbox chain down in the Carolinas. Very influential retailer over the years. He is probably the best at the paid event that I've seen, like where he will ticket most of his big events at like a brewery or at a restaurant. And, you know, they range from $15 if it's the brewery to like maybe $99 if it's a really nice dinner. And it's so well planned out because Craig makes sure you get, like, if you're paying that $15 for, you're getting more than $15 just for walking in there. And then same with the dinner. If it's $99, you're getting, I'm telling you, you're definitely getting more. And he works very hard with the manufacturers to do that. And he's got his team in place to generate a lot of sales to back that up, where he can get them to kind of kick in and then the sales really pour in. The other thing I love what Craig does about his events, every one of those events has a presentation. Craig does a presentation. He interacts with the principal there, whether it's a Q&A or something, but there is always some sort of a presentation where you will get about 15 to 20 minutes, and it's really good time. Craig, I think he'd be a great interviewer. He's a little shy sometimes, but I always feel like when I go to a Craig Cass event, I get my money's worth and my time is well spent there as well. And I always walk out with product because there's great deals on top of that. So I got to give Craig his props too. He's fantastic with that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, when you just walk into a store and it's like, we're having, an event, and it's the rep is there. They're like, oh, hey, we got, all of our cigars are here in stock, and, you buy one, if you buy 2 boxes, you get a third one 10% off. It's like, oh, well, do I really need the third box for 10% off?
Yeah.
I
do think there are some problems. I think this is a great topic that Pat brought up because we can go so many different ways with this.
Yeah.
I think sometimes events get saturated in a particular area. Jay and I have had this conversation where you're doing 3 or 4 events in the same city. It has diminishing returns with that. And it's not a great idea to do that. Book tour events don't work well.
Well, actually, to build on what you just said there. We brought this up recently, where because it kind of speaks to what you just said. Pat made a comment recently where there was a time when if Cigar Shop A was doing an event with so and so, they were coming into town, doing an event there. That was the only shop they were going to and doing an event.
Yeah, it was like the unsaid rule.
And then they left. But now it seems like someone's coming into town, like.
They hit all the shops.
They hit all the shops and then they leave. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, well, if I don't go to this event at this store, I can go to the one over there on Wednesday versus trying to get everyone together for one big event at one store and then they leave. Yeah.
And I'm like wondering kind of, because I've noticed too, even within the time I've been in the industry, it was all post-COVID obviously, but it's that there is a lot more principal people on the road. And I feel like there is a lot more pop-up events going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting to me. I mean, and the thing is, too, is like, and it's, what is the goal of the event? Obviously, it's to generate money, but is it really beneficial to do a spike in sales for one period and then get people kind of stocked up on the product? And then do another event that next month, Because I feel like as a manufacturer, like what I would want is I would want something in place with an event where I'm going to get cigars in somebody's rotation to where it's going to be more of a long-term payoff than like a short-term splurge on product. And then now it's the next thing coming up next month or whatever. Because then I think you find people that are exclusively event buyers. If you do them often enough, it's, like they buy a box, they smoke through them, and then by the time that box is done, instead of maybe going back to that brand, now it's the next brand that's going to be represented in the next event with more deals.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that, exactly. Where I think the more effective, like if I'm a territory, and I do think a territory manager certainly has to have their share of events. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I think the idea is you want to have a lower cost of sales, and you want people turning those cigars when you can't do events there all the time. So I agree with that. And if somehow you're able to really convert someone into buying your product on a regular basis, that I think the ultimate success. But I see a lot of guys who are really good at doing events, and they do an event tour, and they sell stuff, and they don't sell it till the next time they're coming back personally again. So that's a struggle, the product doesn't move in between it.
And I found too that like what Twins does that I find is really successful is, I mean, again, we have the big bar upstairs.
Yeah.
So we usually do a lot of tastings and more like experience events. And it works. I mean, you sit down, you do a pairing, and then people end up, liking the bourbon, they like the cigar, and that'll be like what they, when they go in after work, like that's the pairing that they'll get down the road.
Yeah.
And then just kind of product knowledge. I mean, I found more people enjoy sitting and getting more of an in-depth kind of description of spirit that they're tasting opposed to the cigar. Right. And, so typically mixing those together I found successful. And plus, like, the buy-in to it and, like, the resources you're expelling to that isn't really that much more burdensome on the retailer at that point because it's just, booze and a cigar, and I found that is very successful. And I see Jay's comment about Fuente. Yeah, we do a Fuente event for the foundation at the end of every year, at the end of Q4. And, I mean, there's no deals. A lot, a lot of it gets donated to charity.
Right.
Yeah.
But you just put it out, it sells out. You don't have to even push it. It's just we have like it's roped off. You pick the rope up, and it's just people flood in and buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
So Alan made a comment, which I think there's some truth to. It's important for retailers to have email address lists of their customers to email reminders about events. I think that's true because someone could come into the shop on Wednesday and you'd be like, oh, hey, did you know on November 3rd we're doing that event? But and it's like, oh, yeah, I like that. And, if it's not and here's the thing. This is the only thing about Alan's comment that I think is not true. If it's a ticketed event, they're probably not going to forget because they're not going to forget that they paid money to go to something.
Yeah, we typically do tickets.
So if it's a non-ticketed event, then Alan's right because you tell people and they're like, oh, that's cool, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And then they forget.
Well,
he is right
about it because,
yeah.
I mean, when you get the email once, you have it. So if you're going to do a ticketed event, then you can use the email system, and then people know that there's a ticketed event and that they can go and get their tickets. So the email is just I think that the email is the most consistent way to inform consumers. But then you have the typical, like, you ask for someone's email, and they're like, my experience is, oh, you want to track me? It's like the government's going to track me if I give you my email. They don't want to give you the information, but it's
like that Bill Burr joke about collecting the phone numbers.
Yeah,
that one. It's like, what do you need? Oh, we don't need it. It's like you're just collecting phone
email?
Numbers. Area code 123. It's
I'm in here all the time. You don't need my email, and then the event happens. They come back. What the fuck? I know about this event. It's like, well, it's because you didn't give us the email.
Yeah, I know. And then, so JJ made a comment, and he said, CI Cigar Fest was ruined and they stopped it. I thought they still did Cigar Fest.
No, they changed the whole.
When did that stop?
About 2 years ago.
Okay.
I think it was an issue with the venue, and it was becoming too big.
Ah.
I think that, yeah.
Okay.
So they kind of do smaller store events right now. But they did stop CI Fest. It was, I think they may have did it one more year after the pandemic, and then it stopped. Same JR stopped a lot of the big ones, too. We used to have Smoking in the Carolinas was a huge one. That stopped as well.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I never went to it, but I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason they hit, Alan said, the reason they hit multiple shops can be protecting their ROI. It costs $1,000 or $2,000 for a principal to show up after travel and lodging. It's hard to justify that cost when a retailer only spends $3,000 to $5,000 on their event order. Also, with principals, they can only travel to an area so many times a year. So, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong,
but ROI, it depends on how you measure ROI.
Yeah, like long term.
Yeah.
I think short term ROI is successful, but long term, I don't think it is. In my opinion,
I don't think long term it is. Yeah.
I understand the point he's trying to make.
No, yeah,
that's give him that.
No, like from the manufacturer standpoint, it's efficiency. Yeah.
Because I mean, to get Rocky, Carlito, George Padron, especially like the bigger ones, you got to fly them out. They're always so busy because they always get somebody. So you got to find a way to like get them there. You got to pay to get them there and all this. Have the event ready, And it's like if you're doing something with them, obviously this guy's like, oh well, let's get him while he's here. And you're right. I think it was an unspoken rule kind of back in the day where it's like, oh, they got him. You don't want to step on toes. Now it's like, hey, he's already coming. Like he's already spending the money. Like let's work. Like let's do an event and sell. And to them it's like. It's another store selling their product and placing an order. So they're like, well, yeah, they're going to buy cigars too. But, then you get the local competition where but I think you're right. I think now it's whether they don't care or like they just maybe more people are just, open about it and they're just like, I get it. Like you are seeing it regardless. You're right. You are seeing it more and more now. I've noticed it. I remember when I got into this whole thing before COVID, and I remember like someone would come to town, like they would go to two guys, they'd leave. They come to Twins, they'd leave. Now it's like there's a whole tour. They go everywhere. They go to Castro's, two guys. They go to Twins. Then they'll drop down into Massachusetts. Then maybe they go to Federal in Portsmouth. They'll go over there. It's like
they won't do that here. They don't do that in North Carolina. Very territorial here. It's different.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that. Yeah.
You do see it more now up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting to hear that, yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know how many shops per capita are down in the Carolinas, but like up here,
it's dense, yeah.
There's not a lot in Massachusetts that are really worth going to.
Not a lot in Carolina either.
we have a solid handful
Yeah.
of really strong cigar shops in New Hampshire.
Especially Mass. Like I don't
So-
think principals are going to spend the money to travel to Mass to go to one shop either. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, and you can't really do events at those shops down there either. So I guess I could see maybe why they do it here. But in the Carolinas, there's probably a lot more shops, a lot more spread out, diversified. I could see how maybe it's different. And as well as other parts of the country. I mean, you look at some of the areas of the country where they have like the most cigar shops. I know Atlanta's one of them. I know a lot of people always say there's a lot of cigar shops in Atlanta. Look at Florida. Carolinas is probably between north and south. There's that region there's probably a lot of shops there. Texas, I'm assuming there's probably a lot of shops in Texas.
Arizona, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Arizona's got a lot of shops. Atlanta, those are the three. That
Yeah.
come to mind.
So, I mean, again, I in those areas, I get it. I mean, you're talking about half a dozen good shops to hit up here versus like you go to one of those areas and there's like 40 fucking shops. You look at Rhode Island. Coop, the Rhode Island area. How many shops are in Rhode Island? There's a lot of shops in Rhode Island.
In that Warwick area, Providence area, yeah.
You're not seeing it in Rhode Island. Yeah, maybe they'll go to one or two, but like, there's a lot of shops down there that someone comes into town and most of the shops won't see them because it's like, well, I can't go to all of you.
Well, and this is why I find kind of funny with this whole reps and principals saying they're traveling to a city, right, on a plane, which is ridiculous. So I once said to someone, I said, well, why are you telling people you come into the city? Why don't you put the shops you're at, right? Wouldn't that be better? And they said, well, we don't want the other shops to know we're at this particular shop. I'm like, well, you just said you're going to the city. You just said you're going to the city. How ridiculous is that? If they're not coming to your shop, they're going to know, Which that's kind of what got me all started with this whole airport thing a few years ago. How ridiculous that answer was, and I just still laugh at it to this day.
Luke said Oregon is kicking ass.
Trips from Oregon. He moved to Florida a few years ago from Oregon, and I think it was a pretty good. And now Hector goes up there a lot from Espinosa, so yeah, he spends time up there. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And Jay had said, agreed, but I won't do a principal event unless I get an exclusive. But I do a big $15,000 to $20,000 order to allow the manufacturer to get ROI.
And that's, I think, exactly. I mean, that's a fair. If you're asking for the exclusive, and I think it's fair that Jay is doing the right thing by putting the order in to justify that. Like I've seen people want a principal and they don't even want to put an order in sometimes. So good for Jay on that. Yeah.
Oh, you know something? I think Luke was talking about football.
But no, I'm telling you.
Because then he put in 28 to 17. I'm like, what's he talking about?
No.
Oh, he's talking about football.
Hector goes up to the Northwest probably the most of any territory. He likes going up there, and there's a lot of shops. So I know I'm talking about Hector Alfonso here.
Yeah.
The Smoking Tobacco Man of the Year. So
That's right. He was Man of the Year. Last year? Year before?
Year before, I believe, yeah. He's got it hanging up in his office by the award. I was in there. So
Alan said, with Carolina, you can do 3 events in 3 days by hitting Greensboro, then Fayetteville, and then Charlotte to end it all. Each area is about 90 minutes away from each other. I mean, I don't know. You're the one that lives there, so.
Well, and they all suck as cigar markets, I'll be honest with you. So they have some good stores there, don't get me wrong, but it'll be the same stores you'd be going to. But so maybe, yeah. I just don't. It's not like going into Atlanta, is what I would say with those cities. Those cities combined still don't have as many shops as Atlanta.
So now we can pivot now. I have a second topic we can get into.
Oh, what you got?
I think this is kind of a teaser for Wednesday, but since Coop's not going to be there, unfortunately, I think we can kind of dig into it a little bit since he's here. And I want to talk about the trade show a little bit.
Oh, to kind of get his feedback so they can bring it to the show?
Well, I want to. This might be more. I feel like we might get into this, but I think Wednesday will be kind of more of like the impacts of it being in March this year. But what I want to talk about a little bit is, from like the feedback I've been hearing about it over the years, is it's really changed from more of like that social aspect to just strict sales. Like a lot of business gets done at the trade show now, which is good. But I want to kind of look at going forward with it being in New Orleans this year. Like it's with the. From what we think, again, like, Josh was on the show. He was reassuring with the format on the licensing and being able to smoke outside of the actual trade show floor. But I think it's still going to be a lot different than it is in Vegas, even with the precautions that they're taking and the scheduling that they're doing. So I'm wondering, like, is the trade show going to be even more just people going just to get the business done? Because socially, I think it's going to be worse than it was in Vegas.
So before we get, I know you had Josh on the show this week, and I didn't get a chance to watch that show. He was on with me a few months ago, and then I know he came on with you this week. So I don't know if he has any more updates from when I talked to him last. So
this came up. This absolutely came up, and Josh, I think, was very transparent on it. So here's the thing. I don't think this is going to be Vegas. I think they know this is not going to be Vegas. They are going to be dependent more on outdoor smoking venues. I do think they have contingencies identified, which are pretty good. There was even, and they didn't promise this, but I think they're actually seeing if they could try to get the casino even to do something, which is the Harris Casino. He was talking about possibly a charity angle, and they're exploring some things. I think the weather will be the key factor, but ultimately, if people go to New Orleans, they have the convention center as backup, for example, for the opening party and things like this. So they have some backups. The one thing else, and I've been very critical about the show going to New Orleans because of the smoking bans. Honestly, Vegas has gotten so tough to smoke in, right? And a lot of those after-hour events have been pushed outdoors the last few years, out there, right? So, and Vegas gets expensive and stuff like that too. New Orleans ain't cheap either, but I feel a little better after talking to Josh that I feel they have some firm stuff right now. They're definitely ironing out some stuff though, but when you had him on the show, Matt, a few months ago, it sounds like they've made some progress in a lot of areas. But if this bombs, right, they're going to have a huge problem in 2026. So they can't afford to miss in 2025 because they have to go back to New Orleans the year after with that. But I feel better about some of the stuff, hearing it from Josh. I feel like they've invested some time to really look at this. There was a couple of things that Josh talked about, even like setting up a outside the convention center. There's going to be some outdoor things going on, like right outside the entrance, which I thought was a great idea to do. It's a nice, you haven't been there, but it's a nice long entrance. I think it's partially covered and stuff like that. So I think they're going to give it a good feel with that. Like I said, my concern is if the weather goes south, that could be the one thing that just implodes everything. Even because I don't think people are going to have the same vibe spending a party on a cold, hard convention floor, which I just said that you've been to the opening parties in Vegas there. Even the good ones, when it's on that convention floor, it's cold. It's hard to explain. It has just a bad vibe to it. So I think hopefully if they get some of these outdoor venues set up, I think it will help a lot. And I think that they're looking at tents and canopies and things like that too. So I think they're cognizant of it. Whether they can execute, that's going to be the big question. Hopefully they can.
Yeah, we've talked about this, and I know you haven't been on with this conversation as much, but yeah, I mean, I'd probably, with what I already know and what I've already talked about, I mean, we've been skeptical about this whole thing since the beginning, and I agree, it's not going to be Vegas. We're gonna know the week before we get there if it's gonna, how well it's gonna go, because we're gonna know what the weather forecast is a week before we get there, and if it shows all next week, it's raining, it's like, well. Yeah. There goes all that. That's already gone. It's gonna rain next week. Forget it. Half that stuff's not happening because it's dependent on.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the convention floor as a backup, but it just has a bad vibe, and that could sink it still, and that's what my concern would be.
Yeah, the thing with New Orleans is it's still so much of a wait and see. It's still so much of a wait and see to a degree. I have so much more confidence though in this team this year than I did in the 2015 team that put on that last show there. And I wasn't there, so I believe you.
I have much more confidence in them. And do they do everything perfect? No, but I do believe they put a best effort part of that, and I think it's an unknown for most of these people because they weren't around in 2015, but they certainly won't have to deal with, like, here's a group, this is just something that killed the vibe of the 2015 trade show that won't happen this time. The heat, right? Now, the heat was a problem especially for the exhibitors who had to set up their booths without air conditioning and weren't able to smoke that same day. It set such a bad mood at that trade show. And people grouchy and angry working the booths that year. So I don't think they'll have to deal with that this time.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I've seen the last few years in the shows in Vegas, that same team element like you were just talking about, I think that's probably one of the best teams if to attempt this in New Orleans with the issues they have. This team probably is one of the best teams to have to make this attempt. I agree.
Yeah. They did a media call that afternoon. I was on the media call. No one from the media asked questions, right? Which that's another story. But I think Josh, a lot of stuff. Like I didn't ask questions because I knew a lot of stuff that was going on. But one thing that they opened up this right away with the media again, and they nipped this in the butt. If there's questions, you guys are getting the trade show floor access when that hour early, and they were emphatic about it. They said we have contingencies where if this doesn't happen, here's what you're going to do. We're going to put out guidelines on that. And I think a lot, like I said, because it was a cluster last year, and I was a little quiet on that. I didn't go really rip the PCA too hard on that because I wanted to give them a chance to fix it. And now they've put a plan in place to fix it. Now it's going to be up to. Hopefully it's executed right. This is going to be the next question. So I really felt that they listened to the media with that because that was an absolute cluster last year.
Oh, that pissed a lot of people off because security was like telling. I know your guys had the issues, and I think at the time Kevin got there before us. I think he tried to go in, and that pissed people off. That pissed people off.
It did.
It was like, what are we doing?
And it wasn't handled right during the show, but. You remember after the show, Scott had the media press, and the first thing he said is, "We fucked up," basically. And it shouldn't have happened. It's not going to happen again. And to hear Josh say it now, because it's passed from Scott to Josh, and to hear Josh reaffirm that with the media was a big plus. He got a nice high score from me on that. Yeah.
The and Jay just commented, "You're welcome, Cigar Coop." Josh and Lisa and I worked hard to get
Jay
me
really,
access.
and I can confirm that from talking. Jay and I've had many conversations on this, and Jay
I
was
brought it
very
up with Jay, and he was "I know, we should have done that better." Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and mistakes happen, and I think when you correct the mistakes and make the best effort, we should forgive, and I think. We make mistakes as media sometimes too. So it was a mistake. I'm confident. Like there are people out who want to take bets. I'm willing to take the bet. We won't have a problem this year. There are a couple people in the media who want to take that bet with me, and I may take it. But that I have confidence in the PCA.
It's funny you bring up the. I know that they had a media press conference the other day. I wasn't able to make it, but I didn't know. Was there anything noteworthy on that was worth mentioning?
One thing that I didn't know about, I don't know if it's of interest to our audience, it's of interest to you guys, is you remember like last year when they said free media access? Really wasn't. We got 2 free media badges.
Yeah.
That is cutting down to 1 this year. Now, before we kind of go throw things at Josh and the PCA, Josh did a very good job at explaining why that needed to happen, and it's really a cost thing. And I won't get into all the details here on that, but I think I came at it, and I think most of the media guys came at it saying, you know what, we don't have a problem with this. We can understand that, that has to happen. So I would have kept it the same way as it used to be, like pay the $450 as media. If you wanted to raise us to $550, I would have done it that way. But whatever. Like I said, I think there was legitimate reasons they had to do it, and I don't think anyone beat up the PCA over that. I didn't hear any grumbling. Like, even though people on the media called it and asked questions, after the call, like, I talked to a few people, and it was not a big deal. So,
and the extra badge price stays the same.
Yeah, the extra badge price stays the same. I mean, last year I paid more money for the Coop team than I would have the year before. So, it's the bigger your team, the more you're going to get hit by this. So I have a 6-person team now I take in.
Yeah. Yeah, we had.
But I can understand it. Yeah, I can understand it. I do. I really do. Because there is a cost for us to be on that trade show floor, and Josh did a great job at explaining it's not just a matter. There's a cost associated with that, and he talked about all the little things that need to happen with that. So I actually understood it, and I think again, I give the PCA credit for having a media call and doing and very, very transparent about it, and I can appreciate it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to beat him up over that. There was nothing for me to beat the PCA up over between the media call and the interview we did with Josh. I think they did a nice job with that.
Now, was that press conference only pertaining to like the trade show and for people like us, or was there anything that came up there that was more that maybe the audience would want to know about it? Any other non-show related stuff? Any bigger stuff that's going on? Why?
Yeah, I mean, but there was nothing that we didn't know about. Like, so
Okay.
Josh explained things such as the PCA Alliance, the stuff going on in California, the Dubai show. And if you've kind of followed, you and I have covered these types of things, it wasn't anything new but a lot of these guys in the media call, they do not cover news, right? So it was their opportunity to really hear it from the horse's mouth. But it wasn't and I even said to Josh, the reason why I didn't ask you questions on this, honestly, I think I've gotten all my questions answered from talking to either you or other people. But so it was beneficial for those in the media who don't necessarily cover news or newer people, where they kind of got an explanation of what's going on out there.
Yeah, that's true. Most like cigar media, they don't do full coverage. Some of them just do shows, some of them do some reviews, but there's a lot out there they don't do it all. And outside of the magazine people, which I think we always kind of keep as like a separate entity, the online media such as ourselves, there's only a percentage that actually covers all the news too. So that's a good point.
And like, for example, Matt Ty doesn't really do news. Matt stays plugged in, though. That's the difference. But
he does.
He
does.
Yeah, but Matt Ty stays plugged in maybe more than some. And I'm not knocking the people that stay plugged in. A lot of their shows are more entertainment focused, and there's certainly that's got its place in there as well. So it was a good opportunity for them to hear it. I think hearing it from the PCA executive director carries a lot of weight. And I think Josh is. I was kind of kidding with Josh when we were interviewing him on Thursday night, because Josh has this academic, and Josh is a professor, right? So Josh brings this academic quality that I think is really refreshing, where if you don't maybe understand this, Josh can kind of take it to the level where you can understand it, and he can certainly answer the questions if you don't understand it. So I like his approach to how he's taken that with explaining some of these things. And I think, like I said, I really wish you had a conflict, I know, but every media person who's going to the PCA show owes it to the PCA. Sit on it. It's tough for me a lot of times with my schedule too, but please try to sit in on it, because it's important, that they're taking the time to do this, and I think we want to know they appreciate it. So
it's hard. It's hard because they do it kind of like during my regular business hours, so it's hard for me to get away from that.
It's tough, and I missed the last one. So but I had Coop guys go, and like I said, I have a larger team where I could have sent people, so it's tougher. You have a little smaller team in this case, so certainly you have a guy now in Pat who's on top. Like I said, I think you guys are on top of these issues, so I don't think you guys missed anything in this case. And then if you guys have questions, I think you have a pipeline to Josh and the staff. So,
absolutely, and I use that every opportunity that I need.
Yeah. So I think it's like I said, I wouldn't. But like I said, was I disappointed that people didn't ask questions? Yeah, I think that people had questions that they didn't ask, because I won't throw names out, but I know there's gripers, and they have gripes, and they gripe all year round about PCA, and then you're in front of the executive director and you clam up. You can't do that. Then don't gripe the rest of the year about it. Is what I'm saying. How bad PCA? Yeah.
That's true. That's true. If you got something to say it.
Because Josh will be very honest. And he doesn't mind the tough question thrown at him. Aaron and I threw a couple of tough questions with him about PCA Alliance, and he didn't take it personally. He explained his position on it. So I'm not going to rehash a lot of that, but I'm just saying, he's not going to get angry at you or anything if you ask the question. Just do it in a professional way and stuff. I don't think I'll have any problem.
Yeah, and Josh is very good. He's very approachable, and a lot of times I talk to Jay just because I'm a lot closer with Jay, and it's just easier for me to fire off something to him like, "Hey, Jay."
Yeah, and
Jay always gives me a lot of information too. Jay's on top
talks
of
me off the ledge, Jay.
Yeah,
because there was a couple times I called Jay and I was on the ledge, and Jay gets me off the ledge very easy. And he explained Jay's a really good. That's why Jay's a really good board member, because before I kind of have a knee-jerk reaction, which would maybe have been my case a lot of times, I hear Jay and I'm like, Jay, I get it, like, and this makes sense, and there's no need to fly off the handle on my end. So, so I think I appreciate when board members. Todd Nafee's been another person we've reached out to, Todd Johnson. So the board's been. I know Bear knows Scott Regina really well, and I think Scott Regina has been one of the great PCA presidents we've had, by the way. So I'm really impressed with him. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been a good team the last few years, and
Yeah.
I hope it stays that way. But
Yeah.
Again, when it comes to the trade show stuff, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think that they're making the effort, but we'll see. And you know what? I will preface this: there are some things that could happen with the show that just could be unavoidable and out of their hands. And I think you have to be fair and make sure you say that before too.
It was a norovirus outbreak one year before a trade show. There was a fire that broke out at a trade show.
You had COVID going on, in 22.
There was I used to joke with Scott Pierce. There was he had a catastrophe every show he had to deal with. And then one year he's like, "Don't jinx me." He's like, but I actually have an article on Coop that has a history of the PCA catastrophes. There's I gotta see what I can find, but there's an article out there where I talk about PCA catastrophes. I'll try to put it in the link right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That's funny. Yeah. Question for you: do you have any more questions for Coop that will come up Wednesday with him not being there that you wanted to ask?
I'm not sure because I don't know. I feel like when that show starts is going to be where a lot of the conversation gets brought up. So
I think so too. But I figured I'd ask.
Yeah, going into it, I don't really. I could probably ask Coop if he feels that releases and different functions of companies was different this year because of the trade show being pushed to March.
That's definitely going to be brought up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the answer is that there definitely was. The release cycle is going through this kind of adjustment period right now, and I think it will come full circle next year. And I think we'll be where the companies will finally be on a more of a rhythm of having the earlier year releases. So I think that all of us knew when the trade show moved, there was going to be an adjustment period, and we definitely saw less PCA releases last year for sure. I want to say it was probably one of the lighter release years we've had in about 8 or 9 years, and I think it's going to pick back up next year for sure. But there were some companies that held stuff back from the 23 show. There were some companies that didn't have stuff ready for the 2024 show. So I think, from talking to companies and their planning, I think the planning cycles are going to start to settle down next year for sure. So I have some confidence with that will happen.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the stuff, it's going to come up Wednesday too, like you said. But, you have a team member who will be there, so I know a lot of you guys think the same way. So I'm confident, but still, I'm picking your brain too, because I like your thoughts and opinions on a lot of things. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting show, and you're right. A lot of it will come up organically too, but. That's definitely a show not to miss for everyone who's watching now. The Wednesday night show will be very interesting, I think. A lot of different perspectives. So
yeah, and I think you got Charlie on, and there's no one better at what he does. So he has some very unique perspectives, things that he's seen that maybe we haven't seen. He's very experienced in this. So I could say you'll have plenty to talk about for sure. Matt, Ty, and Bear, of course, will do great with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So looking forward to Wednesday night, and obviously we'll talk more about a lot of these topics then. But yeah, I mean that's really all I have, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to add to the show tonight. I didn't really have much. Cooper, you and I talked about it before this. Kind of not a lot of hot topics going on right now. Everything's kind of just, it's the holidays. Everyone's kind of going through the holidays and pausing, so it gets a little quiet for a few weeks. But
yeah, they did it. Fuente was doing a lot this week down at the at CFCF.
Yeah, they did actually.
Yeah, they they released the watch. They officially, I guess, had the ribbon cutting for this the School of the Arts. And today they announced that the music school is going to be named after Arturo Sandoval. Which so I think that was a good thing. I think that was a good thing. So they definitely were busy this week down at Fuentes for sure.
Yeah, they opened the new, which I remember when I was down there almost 2 years ago now, November of 22. I remember they were telling us, "Oh, we're going to be doing this, performing arts thing," and I was like, "Oh, wow," because we did the whole campus. We went to all the buildings, we met all the kids, but then Carlito had a model of like other things he wanted to build and stuff, and I remember him telling me like, "Oh, we're going to be building this," and then some other stuff that he wanted to do, they were trying to do. So I heard about some of this back then. To like now see like, oh, like this thing's open, and they're now they're going to do this. It's like, oh, like I think back, I'm like, wow, that was 2 years ago already, which doesn't seem that long ago, but like I can't believe it's already been 2 years. And then it's like, oh, like I remember when that was like, they were still kind of like working on that and talking about it. Like now it's done. Like it's amazing how fast these things go, but it's also amazing just how much they've been able to expand down there on that campus and the things that they do and the things they want to do, which I know that they probably will. They're very capable of. It's all power to them. I mean, just again, it's another reason to really just respect what they do with this foundation. I mean, they really execute really well. So yeah, I remember those couple of stories did come in, and that's just really incredible. And for those who haven't been there, I mean, when you get to go, and whether you're even a cigar person or not, when you go to that place, I mean, it's really amazing. Like when you think about like when you see how deep into like where it is and what they've been able to do, it's like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I agree. It was Charlie actually who he was telling me. He said you need to go visit that, and he said it's nothing about cigars. Why you need to go there? It was like I said, it was definitely, you've been there, so you know what it's like. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a really cool place. But yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff this week, and I know they probably have more in the pipeline too. So it'll be interesting to see, kind of how that other stuff unfolds over the next few years. But yeah, no, shout out to them. That's awesome stuff. And but yeah, no, that's all I got this week. So
that's all I got too. Yeah.
I have a weekly observation I can mention quickly before.
A weekly observation.
Over. Yeah.
What do you got?
Let's do it.
Now I'm intrigued.
I feel like a lot of companies are down, and I think that there's a big push to like meet numbers right now ending Q4, and I've seen like a pretty aggressive push for big orders, which is typically uncharacteristic because this is tax season too for retailers.
In some states, you get taxed in some states on that.
So for the inventory, so I just thought it was interesting the posture this year, kind of trying to push a big order at this point, where typically retailers don't do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this. And I do my year-end article, and I'll kind of preview. One of my things is I think discontinued SKUs will be. It was sort of a theme this year. It's going to be a bigger theme next year. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that happen.
I agree. I think you're going to see a lot more discontinued SKUs.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. But the other thing is, I'm also seeing a lot of retailers. Like, there was some really good sales on Thanksgiving weekend. And I know they have this thing called Cyber Monday, which is supposedly the big online sale thing. No, those sales started well into before Thanksgiving this year. Significant sales. There was one site 40% off, like a pretty good site that I bought some stuff off of.
Yeah, I would say just generally the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing. It's like it starts earlier. Like there used to be a time when like Black Friday was Black Friday, and it was like, this is the deal we're doing. So like on Friday you can get it, and you'd have the doorbuster. They remember the doorbusters. You don't hear about doorbusters anymore. Why? Well, because everyone has like 2 weeks worth of Black Friday deals now. You don't have to like wait to the day of to bang in there I got to get this deal while they only have like the 10 no, they got plenty of inventory. They run that sale for 2 weeks. And then you got Black Friday, and then you got Cyber Monday, and you got Amazon. It's like it's not really like the same as it used to be.
Yeah, and I think cigar retailers have struggled with having doorbusters. It hasn't worked in the cigar industry, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So I think online's the way they go.
Yeah, I think so too. But even with regular stores too, I think it's the same with regular stores. I don't think you see it as much with regular stores, but cigar wise, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
and one of the things I have noticed last couple of years, while we're on this topic, some of the retailers' Black Friday deals I noticed have gotten a lot more watered down than they used to be a few years ago.
Yes.
Like severely watered down. Like I remember some of the deals that some of the shops would do like 5 years ago, and I was like, damn, I would wait all year and I would drop a few $1,000s on Black Friday because I would buy so much. I'd buy boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff at decent prices. And now I see these things come out and I'm like, I mean, okay. I'll just it doesn't really entice me enough to go in to bulk buy. Like some of those deals, like I'd wait to bulk buy, and I would go in there and I would drop a few grand on some stuff. Now I see these deals, I'm like, I mean, I'll just get it when I need it then. Like I would buy stuff I didn't necessarily need, but I'd be like, oh, let me stock up now. And now I'm like, oh, when that box is gone, I'll just go buy another one at this. But it's not enough. And sure, I know that maybe economic-wise things are not where they used to be. I understand that too. I that's the first comment I know everyone goes, well, I get it, but I know that's true. But yeah, it's an observation I made, and it has affected the way I buy. So, just something to point out.
I think since numbers are down too, I think it's harder to do deals like that at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, Uncle Larry, I buy 80% of my online cigars this time of year.
I do. I said this is a very strategic time of the year where I'm doing buying.
Yeah.
So I held back on some purchasing for the fourth quarter for review stuff because there were deals out there. And, and I know it's retailers I deal with where I know I love to throw in business. There's other ones where, how can I put it? I got when I go into a shop, I got to kind of take care of them too, if I'm walking in there. So it's very tricky sometimes to deal with that.
Yeah, which, I mean, everyone saw this coming. I mean, when this mini boom we had post-COVID happened, I think everyone was expecting it to kind of drop back down.
Yeah, I think we did too. I don't think anyone saw that mini boom come either. It was definitely caught us by surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hearing how, like I saw some guys out there, and I'm not criticizing them. Oh, we got to support our retailers and stuff like that, and that's a great notion. Except what happened is, it kind of became organic, where people wanted cigars.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that's going to be our show this week. I think we've covered a pretty good collection of topics here, and I think I'm going to end it there. But no, great show. Thank you both for being here, as always. Thank you for everyone who's been with us the whole show, listening and watching. If you're listening later, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Everywhere you can get your podcasts. Follow us on YouTube and on social media. And as always, visit smokeandtobacco.com for more news, reviews, and updates from the cigar industry. We'll see you Wednesday night. Myself, Pat, Charlie Minato, Matt Ty, and Baird Duplessis on the Smoke and Tobacco Show at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you.